Hey everyone, welcome to Life Unmothered. Is it not on your page? Hey everyone, welcome to the third episode of Life Unmothered, a journey from hopelessness to hope, where we break down definitions in our community to start making everything that we ever experienced, went through, trials and tribulations, start to make sense, right? So, first and foremost, I want to thank everybody. And y'all, I got this new mic. So, if y'all can hear me, say yes. If not, then I'll probably just turn this mic off. Okay? So, it's not popping up mic at all? I'm not on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. Well, you didn't say I did say Facebook. No, you didn't. And I got you on Facebook. You didn't see. But it's public. Y'all excuse me. I'm trying to make sure that this mic is working. So, trying to make sure that this mic is working. Okay. All right. So, excuse the beginning. I just got this new mic because last week y'all heard my grandson crying, the dog barking and everything. So, I wanted to do it differently so it can kind of like fade out the noise in the background. But y'all is showing out. Y'all are showing up and showing out. Y'all are showing up and showing out. And I just want to say thank y'all. Thank you so much. Like, I can't even thank y'all enough. I promise y'all I can't. But I just want to say that I appreciate each and every one that has purchased this so far. And I ask y'all to do a review on my page. Tag me. Tell me what you think about the book. You know, is it something that you willing to work on? Is it something that, you know, just say something. Just say something, y'all. But I have really, promoting this book is a whole job in itself. I promise y'all. Pushing this book is a whole job in itself. But hey, guess what? It's worth it. It's worth it. So I have definitely been working around the clock to get this going. I have definitely been working around the clock to get this going. So I am super excited for everybody that got this book. I'm trying to tell y'all, look, so we know that in our community it's very taboo to go to therapy, right? We don't want them people in our business. We don't, you know what I'm saying? No, I can't open up to them. I don't want to talk about it. This is a start. It's a start. This is a start, baby. It's a start. I'm trying to tell you. So, but if y'all got y'all copy, please leave me a review. Tag me in it. Let me know what your thoughts about it is. Do you think that it will help you, help somebody else? You know, if it's helping you and you know somebody that needs this, gift them this book. Gift them this book. Okay. So, thank y'all. I really appreciate it. Y'all can find it on Amazon. Look on my page. I've been promoting it like crazy. I got other people promoting it for me. When I tell you that I'm planning, and it's not even my plan, it's God's plan, that this is going to go global. It's going to go global. You know, I already got a shipment coming in, which I'm going to be shipping to Philadelphia. And y'all, this is just a start. It's a start, y'all. So I wanted to just show y'all, because I know people might say, she don't know what she talking about. She don't know what she doing. You know, God has truly, truly blessed me, right? So Yes, I have been certified. I have been certified to be a transformational life coach. I I have been certified. 4 years ago, I was able to be in this anthology with 6 other women. You know, here's my picture back here. You can also find this book on Amazon as well. It's called The Day She Left, Survivor's Diary, Stories of Transforming Trauma into Triumph. You know, I got one chapter in this book, and I'm very grateful because when I opened my mouth 4 years ago, this came about, right? Also, I was featured in a worldwide magazine. I was featured in a magazine 4 years ago, and it's for marketplace influencers on the move. That, you know, I was featured in this, and here go my picture. Y'all can see. So I was featured in this magazine, which I'm very excited. You know, so that's just a few doors that have opened for me, and that's still opening for me. So I am very grateful. I am grateful. I'm grateful, y'all. But look, we're not gonna take too much time because this subject that I'm speaking on tonight is a eye opener. And when I started researching this, it was like it all hit me all over again, y'all. It hit me. It hit. Okay. So I don't know, because I can't, for whatever reason, see the comments. If y'all commenting, I'm trying to fix it. I don't know if somebody can, you know, say hi, or if y'all already commenting, I can't see it, and I do apologize. Hopefully I can figure out how to fix that, right? But anyway, we're gonna keep going. So this show was born from pain I never deserved, and the healing I fiercely fought for. I know what it's like to be unmothered, to grow up without nurture, protection, or love I needed. To be raised in trauma told me to stay silent and expect to smile through it all. But I also know what it's like to break cycles, to reclaim my voice, and to rewrite the story. My mission, my purpose, my life's purpose is to shine a light on childhood trauma and abuse and pain that most people are too scared to talk about, to expose the wounds we were taught to hide, and to help others rise from them too. This is more than a show. This is a movement, a mirror, a safe house for truth. It's for the ones who were told to get over it, but never had a chance to process it. It's for the inner child still wanting to be seen. Because healing isn't just personal, it's generational. And I'm not just healing for me, I'm healing for my lineage to help others do the same. So if you ever felt unseen, unloved, and unmothered, you are not alone. And we are on this walk and journey together. So I always read that. That's like my mission statement, y'all. So I always read that first before every episode. But I just want to read y'all the very first page of this book. I just want to read the very first page of this book, right? Or the second page. I'm sorry. The second page of this book, it says, this book is not a fairy tale. It's not wrapped in perfection, sugar-coated advice, or pretending that healing from family hurt is easy. This is for the ones who were blamed for what they didn't break. It's for the ones who were told to get over it when they were never given the space to process it. It's for you, the ones who feel the ache in their chest when you hear the word family. This book is a safe space to unpack the hurt, grieve what you didn't receive, and learn how to give yourself what no one else could. It's a guide to setting boundaries, naming pain, and starting your healing, even if you're the first one in your bloodline to do so. If you feel stuck in a cycle of dysfunction, if you were raised in survival mode and never learned peace, if your heart still carries what your mouth never got to say, this is for you. Let this be a reminder. You are not alone. You are not crazy. And it was never your fault. Okay? So y'all run and get this book. Y'all run and get this book. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share it. Gift it. Whatever. But I promise you, you're gonna start to make sense of stuff that you had questioned years ago. Okay? So tonight's episode, right? We're gonna jump right on in. Thank y'all again. But let's jump right on in, right? So trauma, and y'all see the title, trauma can begin affecting a child as early as infancy, even in the womb. When raised in a dysfunctional, unsafe environment. Let's break that down based on scientific research, development, psychological, and neuroscience. So, like I told y'all, I'm not pulling this stuff out the air. I'm not pulling this stuff out the air. This stuff was researched already. Okay. I'm just digging it up and putting a name to what they had buried to me from our community. So that's why I'm pulling it up. I'm pulling it up to bring awareness to what we've been suffering with. They do have names to this stuff, right? So in order for us to change anything, we got to name it. So let's dig in on tonight's episode, okay? So it says the critical window, right? This is the critical window. And we all know every human on this planet has been a child before. Every human being has been a child before. So put that in your mind when we go here, right? Including you, your parents, your grandparents. Put this in your mind when we start going here, okay? So the critical window is 0 to 7 years old, y'all. Listen to this. The critical window is 0 to 7 years old. This is the most vulnerable and formative period in a child's life. Prenatal stages, 0 to 9 months, and 0 to 9 months, right? So this impacts pregnancy when it's a fetus, right? So it's going to impact the pregnancy when you're a fetus, meaning if you ever dealt with maternal stress, abuse, neglect, or substance abuse, this will harm your fetus from 0 to 9 months. The developing brain is flooded with stress hormones, right? If the mother is under constant stress or in an abusive environment, right? So that's just telling us that if our mother was in an abusive situation during her pregnancy, that harmed the fetus, okay? She was stressed out, neglected, abused. All of that harmed the fetus, right? Yeah. So it says that if infancy from 0 to 2 years old, from 0 to 2, infants develop entirely on co-regulations from caregivers to feel safe. Exposure to neglect, violence, emotional unavailability, and constant care creates insecurity in an attachment system. The brain is rapidly developing during this stage. It says, y'all, repeated exposure to fear, yelling, abandonment, or chaos wires the brain for survival instead of safety, y'all. This is in infancy from 0 to 2 years old, right? How many of us with our children at the age of 2 years old, when we say they hit their terrible twos, and we start yelling, go sit your hand down somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Get out of there, get out of that. It tells you right here, exposure to that, right, is rewiring their brain for survival instead of safety, right? Whew. Y'all sit, let that marinate a little bit. I need y'all to let that marinate a little bit, right? Okay. So children who don't get constant love and safety in infancy may internalize the world as unsafe. A child who don't get constant love, consistent love, and safety. Okay, let's keep going. Early childhood from 2 to 7. From 2 to 7. The brain is still in a neuroplastic state, right? Absorbing experiences like a sponge. Chronic emotional neglect, right? Chronic, it says chronic emotional neglect. Verbal abuse, witnessing domestic violence, or being parentified, made to care for a sibling or emotionally support a parent, deeply shape your identity. Y'all, this is from the ages of 2 to 7. From the ages of 2 to 7, y'all. Chronic emotional neglect, verbal abuse, witnessing domestic violence, or being parentified, made to care for your siblings or emotionally support a parent, deeply shapes your identity. That's from 2 to 7. Okay. According to the ACE, and last week I told y'all to go take that test. Go take the test to see where you rank when it comes to your traumatic experience, the ACT. So I hope if anybody on here actually took the ACT, put your numbers in the chat. I want to see what that came up for you. You know, but it says, according to the ACE, Advanced Childhood Experience Study, early trauma during these years is linked to, y'all, listen to this, early childhood experience study is during these years, during 2 to 7 years old, will increase the risk of depression, addiction, and chronic illness in childhood. Y'all, come on, man. Really? And it said difficulty forming healthy relationships alter the brain structure. And it will alter the brain structure from 2 to 7, right? And from 0 to 2, it starts to shape the baby brain from repeated exposure to fear, yelling, abandonment, and chaos rewires their brain. So pretty much from 0 all the way to 7, y'all, and I'm not making this up, I pulled the research. So how many of us have actually lost control and started yelling at our kids between the ages of 2? Because like I told y'all, when they hit them terrible 2s, we be all over the place. Go sit your ass down. Get out of this. Get out of that. We do that, right? Not knowing that that is rewiring our baby's brain, right? That's some deep information right there. I don't know if y'all knew that. I didn't. I didn't. And it's just an eye opener for me, right? So we know that that links to that. And then it also says, by we doing that in their childhood, they're likely to suffer from depression, addiction, and chronic illness, y'all. By us just rewiring their brain unconsciously, years they gonna struggle. And can't nobody guarantee me that they child, when they get into adult years, is going to struggle from addiction, mental illness, or anything like that, knowing that we unconsciously did that to our babies. So that's why I told y'all it's time to learn our patterns. We have to become conscious of what we're doing to our children, knowing that this stuff is rewiring their brains, right? So let's keep going, right? Let's keep going. Children growing up in trauma learns to scan for danger instead of connections. Y'all, this becomes a template for how they see the world. Y'all, so, to me, that's when people say, I'm not finna go around there. I don't know what they about. You already scanning for danger instead of like a connection. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know who gonna hold your blessing, but by you already being in survival mode, you already in survival mode. So that's instantly, you instantly feel danger, right? Y'all, this is so deep. Yes, Treva said it's true. Yes, it's very much true. It's very much true, y'all. So we're going to keep going. So it says roles of attachment. Dysfunctional homes, y'all. Listen to this. Dysfunctional homes often lead to insecure attachment styles. What does that mean? What does insecure attachment style? My sister said flight, fight, freeze, or collapse. That's true, right? So, and we're gonna break that down too. That's gonna be on another episode, sis. But look, so attachment roles, dysfunctional homes. We talking about dysfunctional homes, and we already know that that's a lot of dysfunctional homes in our community, baby. In our community, we done dress dysfunction up to be normal, right? So it says avoidance. So we avoid emotional distance and we shut down. Right? Anxious. When you become anxious, that means you cling, and you fear abandonment, right? And disorganized, confused, fears love and rejection, right? So I'm gonna say I had all three of them. I ain't even gonna lie. But let me tell you what age that this roots from. It says this attachment disruption is often rooted by the age of 2 and 3, baby. If unaddressed, persist into adult relationships. Baby, y'all better get this. Y'all, come on. Come on. So it says if it goes unaddressed, which majority of the time it does, because we don't know. We don't know that our brain had been rewired at our tender age of 2 and 3 because of the parenting style that we experience, right? We don't know this. So we carry this all the way up into adulthood. Like we're passing the torch, even to our children. We're passing the torch. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I told y'all we got to put names. We got to name in order to change. We got to name it. So let's keep breaking this down, y'all. So I wanted to go into chronic emotional neglect, right? I really wanted to dive into that for y'all real quick. Because what when they say chronic emotional neglect, right? And they told us chronic emotional neglect, verbal abuse, witnessing domestic violence, or being parentified. And this is all between the ages of 2 and 7. All of this, right? So majority of the time we seen domestic violence in the household. Baby, we heard of verbal abuse, especially if your mama cussed you out, called you names, belittled you, judge. I mean, that's a form of verbal abuse, right? And parentified. So we know that at some time at the age of 7 up, you watching your siblings while your mama go to work, right? You cooking them dinner. Your mama showed you how to cook at an early age, which is cool, but still, watching your siblings, it forced you into being parentified, meaning made care for siblings or emotionally supported a parent deeply shape your identity. That's what it says. So let's jump into this chronic emotional neglect, because I really want y'all to understand this, right? Majority of us have chronic emotional neglect. We really do. It says chronic emotional neglect is one of the most invisible yet damaging form of childhood trauma. Did y'all hear that? It's the most invisible. You can't see it, but it's yet the most damaging form of childhood trauma, especially in dysfunctional system. It doesn't leave bruises or create one specific traumatic event. Instead, it's the absence of what a child needed most, meaning emotional presence, validation, and attunement, right? Let's break that down. Right? What is chronic emotional neglect? Chronic emotional neglect is the constant failure of caregivers to, one, notice a child's emotional needs, two, validate or respond to their feelings, and three, provide comfort, empathy, and guidance when they're distressed, right? Okay, y'all. Oh, I'm going too fast because I'm just, because right now I'm just seeing my childhood flash in front of me, right? And I told y'all I don't live in my trauma anymore, but I'm willing to recant it so it can start make sense to y'all, right? So I'm recanting it. So when I recant, I have flashbacks, right? Anyway, so chronic neglect is the consistent failure, right, to notice your child's emotional needs, right? How can we notice their emotional needs when we were never ever able to express emotions in our household? We didn't know what emotions was. What is emotions? And when we said that we felt something, we had to go to our room. You better emotion them dishes. You ain't feeling like this. You don't have no reason to A, B, and C. You know what I'm saying? Other kids got it worse than you. How many of y'all how many of y'all heard that? Other kids got it worse than you. You shouldn't have to woo woo woo, right? So they're neglecting your emotional needs, right? They won't validate or respond to your feelings. You can say something all day long, Ma, I feel like that. We'll talk about it later, and you never bring that back up, right? So it says it's not always what was done to you, it was what was missing, right? You weren't hugged, you weren't you weren't hugged, you weren't heard, you weren't seen. That's neglect. Okay? That's what it says. If you were not hugged, if you were not heard, if you were not seen, that is neglect. So I had all three, baby. I had all three. I can't even remember if my mother ever gave me a hug, especially said I love you. Like, that didn't exist, right? That didn't exist for me, right? So let's go into how it affects the brain, y'all. And I told y'all, we speaking right now from the age of 2 to 7, them critical years. Them are critical. Well, actually, the critical window is from 0 to 7, right? And then you go into infancy, which is 0 to 2. And then the early childhood, our early childhood for us started between the ages of 2 to 7, what we can remember, right? Early childhood from 2 to 7. I done met people that said that they remember when they was 3 years old. You know what I'm saying? So from the ages of 2 to 7, right? That's when when people say early childhood, that is the age that we're speaking on this research is speaking on, right? So how does it affect your brain, right? During childhood, the brain is shaped by experience. When emotional needs are repeatedly ignored, the child brains adapt by, right, shutting down emotional expressions, avoid rejection or shame, over developing the fight, flight, freeze, stress response, under developing the prefrontal cortex, which helps regulate emotions, right? And so I'm going, because I didn't break this down. I'm gonna break down what prefrontal cortex actually is. So I'm gonna have that for y'all next week, right? Okay. This leads to, right? So this is shaping our brain by the ages from 2 to 7. This leads to hyper independence, beliefs that no one will help me, right? Emotional numbness and detachment, poor self worth because feelings were treated as unimportant. Y'all, we struggle with that today. It's people that struggle with this today, right? And your children, yours, the one you birth, is probably 9 times out of 10 struggling with this today too. Why? Because you didn't know. You didn't know none of this. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep going. Signs a child is experience. Y'all listen to this, because you can see it in yourself. You can see it in your children. You'll be able to see it in other people's children. Now that you knowing and getting these definitions, right? And now that we really understanding what's going on. Signs a child is experience emotional neglect. Rarely confronted when sad or scared. Pushed or dismissed for crying. Push or dismiss for crying, y'all. This is signs that your child is experiencing emotional neglect. Told to, baby, come through, spirit. Told to get over it. Man up and stop being dramatic. If you ever said them words, you were passing on emotional neglect. If you ever said those words. Feeling like a burden when expressing your needs. Parents is physically present but emotionally unavailable, depressed, addicted, or a narcissist. Y'all. Did y'all just hear that? Right? Parents are physically present. Now, we not always, like I told y'all last week in the live, baby. This ain't always talking about a drug addicted parent, a parent that is incarcerated or just not in the home at all. No, this is talking about parents is physically present but emotionally unavailable. Because why? Because the parent is depressed, or the parent is an addict, or the parent is narcissistic. Okay, let's keep going. These messages teach the child, my feelings are wrong. I must be wrong for having them, right? So your child is saying my feelings is wrong. And I must be wrong for having these feelings because I'm getting told to stop crying. I'm getting told to man up. I'm getting told that I'm being too dramatic. You know what I'm saying? So I'm wrong to have these feelings, right? Let me tell y'all how it shows up in adulthood, right? Because we gonna carry this. We're going to carry this because they went unaddressed, because nobody told us this, y'all. Nobody told us this. So of course they're going to get unaddressed from us, which we going to carry it into adulthood. Then we going to start trickling it down to our children. Why? Because our parents did it to us. That was our foundation. You know what I'm saying? So there's no way around it. You can't parent without an example. So who was your example? Mine was my mother. So I parented just like she did, unconsciously. Even though, like I told y'all, even though it was some things that I said that I would never do, but majority of everything that I passed down, and which it said is one of the most invisible yet most dangerous forms of childhood trauma that you can do to your child, right? So we know this because nobody said, hey, y'all reshaping our brain. Nobody said that because our parents is already in survival mode, right? So let's keep going, y'all, because I want to tell y'all how adults symptoms from childhood emotional neglect. Adult symptoms, right? So most adults don't realize they've been emotionally neglected. Didn't I just say that? Most adults don't even realize that they have been emotionally neglected. They just feel off, it says, or chronically unfulfilled, right? Common signs include, it says, how it shows up. Emotionally, it shows up feeling numb, disconnected, or just empty inside, right? As an adult, that's how we feel as an adult. When it comes to relationships, how it shows up is that we struggle to express emotions, fear of intimacy, and avoid being vulnerable, right? That's how it shows up in relationships. How it shows up in our self-worth: chronic neglect, perfectionism, and imposter syndrome. I'm highlighting some stuff because we got to break this down. Y'all, we gonna go into depth about perfectionism, and we gonna go into depth about imposter syndrome, because I need y'all to really understand this, because some of us carry that trait. Me, I had imposter syndrome, right? Because I had to become a mini my mother, right? And so me doing that, I had to form in who she wanted me to be in order for me to get some sense of safety, some sense of something. You know what I'm saying? So I had to be who she wanted me to be in her presence, right? That's why I said a lot of y'all teenagers, baby, they sitting in y'all face right now, and you really don't know your baby because they done conformed into being an imposter for you, right? So let's keep going. So what we do to cope: over functioning, right? These are coping mechanisms in adulthood when we've been chronic emotionally neglected. It's over functioning, people pleasing, or shutting down. So which one of those is that you? Over functioning? Are you a people pleaser, or do you just shut down? I became a people pleaser because I couldn't please my mother in nothing that I did, nothing, right? So on the outside, I became a people pleaser because I never wanted nobody to get mad at me or be upset with me. So whatever they ask, I jump. Whatever, Mona, can you what? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Just moving. That became my identity, right? So the inner voice is self-critical, invalidating, and feels like a burden to others. So those are the things, those are the symptoms of childhood emotional neglect that we feel, that we have in our emotions, in our relationships, in our self-worth, in our coping, and in our inner voice, right? Those are the things that we experience. And it says, it also says, I don't know how to ask for help. That's one. We don't know how to ask for help. We don't know how to ask for help because we always seen our parents do everything. They were so strong. They didn't ask for help. So we seen them having to figure it out. So here we are figuring out. We don't want to ask nobody for nothing, right? And it also says, I feel broken. I can't explain why, right? No one really sees me. No one really sees me, right? So, it says what emotional neglect isn't. This is what it isn't, okay? It's not always about abuse or yelling. It's not always about poor or having divorced parents. It's not always intentional. Sometimes it's caused by, listen to this, parents with unhealed trauma. Y'all, it's not funny, but yet just hearing that, right? So we know that our parents had unhealed trauma, but guess what? They did not know this information. So guess what they did? They passed it down to us. And guess what? We didn't know this information. So guess what we did? Pass it down to our kids. That's why you hear generational curse. We call it that, generational curse, but it's actually a generational pattern because it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes because you're unhealed. We're unaddressed. We don't know. What is it a name? It's a name to it. There are names to everything, y'all. And I'm going to say this again, if we can't name it, we can't change it, right? That's why these definitions are here. That's why it's important for y'all to come watch me every Thursday, 8 p.m. sharp, so y'all can get this knowledge, because the Bible said my people perish for the lack of knowledge. This is what they're talking about. This right here, right? So let's keep going. It says parents with unhealed trauma, depression, addiction, and narcissism in the caregiver, right? Generational silence, y'all. It says generational silence, right? And survival mindset. We don't talk about feelings. We don't talk about your feelings. How many times have y'all asked your child, how do you feel today? How's your day going? Right? Like, we come in from work on a long, hard day of working. We don't want to be bothered. We go take our shower. We go, probably drink some wine, watch our favorite show, go to bed, and do it all over again. But how many times have y'all stopped and asked your child, how you feeling today? How you doing today? How was your day? Right? Sometimes just that little bit would make a difference, because they gonna be like, well, dang, mama care about how my day went. But if we just going on, you know what I'm saying? Like it says, we don't talk about feelings, right? So how do you start to heal? Y'all know I'm not going to take y'all in a rabbit hole. It ain't going to bring y'all up out of this, because we need to know, how do you start healing this stuff, right? First and foremost, baby, you start with this. Get y'all a copy. I promise y'all, get y'all a copy. But it says, how do we start healing from emotional neglect, right? Healing starts by learning to listen to this, y'all. Healing starts by learning to name your emotions. Build emotional vocabulary. Yeah. That's why I do what I do. It says this is how you're going to start healing from emotional neglect. That's number one on the list, is naming your emotions, right? Number two, you got to validate your inner child, right? Your pain was real, even if no one acknowledged it. You got to validate that. You have to do that, right? Create a safe space. Your vulnerability is welcome, not punished, right? So you can be vulnerable. Don't feel like it's a punishment to be vulnerable. That's why I told y'all, if y'all start this, there is prompts in here to journal and channel your inner child, right? So we have to welcome that, right? It's not a punishment, right? So practice self awareness. Check in with your needs and feelings daily. You got to check in with your needs and feelings daily. What do you need today? How was I feeling throughout the day? That is valid. That's valid. You can really ask yourself these questions, because we are adults now. And I pray that everybody is in a safe space to be able to do that. So, and it says unlearn the silence. Speak, cry, and share without shame, baby. When I first started speaking 4 years ago, I told y'all I was scared as hell, right? Because I thought that me doing the work, that was just for me. Like, that was for me. I get it. I know what I need to work on. I understand. I'm doing the research. This is making me more aware of who I am and what patterns that I possess, So doing the work, I'm like, okay, I feel, man, this is a relief. Like, this is a relief for me, But when God said, now go tell the world your why, let me tell you something. Me and God, baby, we had a conversation. It's like, hold on, what do you mean? Right? However, he didn't heal me for just me. He did that so that I can be a vessel to somebody else to help start unlocking your chains and making your life make sense for you. Right? And so I had to be obedient, and I'm so thankful that I was. But y'all, I when I did my first episode of Life Unmothered, it was called "Are You Present While You Provide?" Are you present while you provide? And this right here, it tells you, right, that we can provide for our kids all day long. We can be in the house with them and everything. We can provide. We can be great providers. It does not make you a good parent, right? And not saying that because we are parenting unconsciously some traumatic trauma. That's what we're doing. That's how we're parenting. We're parenting strictly out of trauma. Especially if you can resonate with what I'm saying, you've been parenting out of trauma, unconscious trauma, right? Because it went unaddressed. Who talks about it, right? So I would love for y'all to do this journal. It's a journal example, right? It says, what feelings did I hide as a child because no one seemed to care or notice? What do I wish someone had said to me back then? Yeah. Think about that. And be real, be transparent when you answer that. And write it down. Don't just leave it here and then you just think about it. Write it down, because at the end of the day, even though we taboo, put a stigma on going to therapy, I promise y'all, if you can go, if you can go. But if you can't go, I encourage people to journal. You know, if you get this book, trust me, it's some prompts in here that will get you to really, really, really thinking, right? Journal, because it goes from your head down your arm and out on paper. So you don't hold that inside no more. It's a form of release, right? Because like I told y'all in the first episode of Life Unmothered, how we hold trauma in our body, right? Trauma is trapped in our body and we have to find a way to release it, right? So releasing trauma is, first of all, acknowledging that you have it. You know, that's number one. Number two is that, you know, to talk about it. And even if you not talking about it like me, you know, that's fine. Journal. That's another form of talking to somebody. I promise y'all. You know, I wish back then somebody would have told me, Mona, journal. I probably would have had books and, you know what I'm saying? But nobody told me that. So I had to keep that inside. And it was literally killing me, right? So emotional neglect isn't the loudest trauma. That's what it says. It isn't the loudest trauma. It's the quietest, y'all. But it echoes into it says, but it echoes into adulthood until you finally give yourself the love and care you were denied. Right? Yeah. Chronic emotional neglect, y'all. Like I told y'all, I give y'all just a little bit every week. And I promise y'all, I'm gonna try to slow down, because when I be in this research and when I be giving it to y'all, I be stumbling over my words. I be, mispronouncing words. It's okay though. As long as y'all getting it. As long as y'all understanding, right? And I need to, I'm gonna work on slowing down, so I can just really give it to y'all. But at the same time, I'm human, and this research just be like, you know what I'm saying? It's like when I do it, it's like, I can't wait to tell y'all. I can't wait, because who knew, right? Who knew? So I'm going to read y'all one more thing, and then I'm going to go on and get out of here, y'all. I'm going to go on and get out of here. So avoiding the cycle of emotional neglect starts with awareness. I told y'all that. It starts with awareness. Healing and internally parenting or relational behaviors. You can't change the past. It says you cannot change the past, but you can change the legacy by showing up differently than what you experience, right? We got to show up differently than what we experience. Oh, here's a deep breakdown on how to avoid passing down emotional neglect. Whether you're a parent, a caregiver, a partner, or a cycle breaker in your family, right? Do your own inner work first. It says that. I told y'all, I had to be the example for me before I can even talk to y'all. I had to do that. First, you can't give what you never receive, right? Until you choose to heal. You cannot give what you never receive. That's included in a relationship, y'all. If you ain't never gotten how to understand emotions, how can you understand your partner emotionally? If you never got love, how can you love your partner? Right? Or your children. It don't even gotta be or your children. If you never experience these things, it says you cannot give what you never receive, y'all. That's deep. That's deep. First, you got to recognize your own unmet emotional needs. Ask, was I allowed to cry? Was you allowed to cry? Was I confronted? Did I feel seen? Right? It says start with therapy. Start journaling or trauma informed support. It says that, right? And I feel like this show, Life Unmothered, is giving you the support that you need, because everybody that resonates, everybody that watches, everybody that tunes in, we are all connected. We are all connected. Nobody is here to judge nobody, right? Because nobody explained this stuff to us, our families, right? Nobody. So this to me is support, because when I was out there looking for support, when I was going through, it was nobody to support me. Why? Because people told me, because I was talking about my mother and the pain that was inflicted on me, that I was too raw. Do you understand that somebody told me that I was too raw? And I had to step back and say, so you trying to sugarcoat somebody's pain, right? You trying to sugarcoat somebody's pain, and you trying to keep that person in their comfort zone. Y'all know that when you comfortable, you don't expand, you don't grow. You do not grow in comfort, right? So you have to get uncomfortable. And this right here, this work, is going to be uncomfortable. But I tell y'all, and I promise you, if you keep going, and even if you got to take a break, but don't stop. Take the break that you need, but don't stop. Confront them wounds. Confront and conquer, right? Because these unaddressed wounds that we have, that went unaddressed since childhood, it's our Goliath. And we got to kill that thing. We have to kill it. In order to kill it, we got to learn these definitions. And so I tell people, whenever somebody tell you, you need to, or you hear somebody say, girl, they need to heal, ask them from what? Because healing is not a big bubble, right? It's sliced up. It's sliced up, and you got to touch every wound. Every single wound you got to touch, right? In order to start healing. So we know that this over here is chronic emotional neglect. We know that this over here is the fight, flight, or freeze mode. We know that this over here is what we're going to talk about, the frontal cortex, because we need to understand how at the age of 2 to 7, how did that actually rewire us, right? So we have words, definitions that we got to break down. It just ain't no whole circle, right? And that means that you got to touch every single piece of your pie. You have to. It's not going to be fun. It ain't going to be easy, right? So it says, name and normalize emotions, right? And I'm going to read this, and I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. Name and normalize emotion. Children and even adults need language for what they feel. And I told y'all, we need the language, right? Instead of stop crying, try. Instead of telling your kids to stop crying, try to say this. I see you're really upset right now. Want to talk, or do you just need a hug? It's okay to feel what you feel. I'm here for you. Instead of you brushing it off and saying, quit crying. They say that it's they call it gentle parenting, but I can guarantee you, because we were raised to fear parent. We want our kids to be scared as of hell at us, right? We want them to fear us like we are to fear God himself, right? And the kids do. They probably fear you more than they fear God. And I like I told y'all before, I fear my mother more than I fear God. If God told me to come here, I probably would have looked at her and said, is it okay? Like literally, that's how afraid I was. And that's how in our Black community, that's how we feel like we need our children. But understand this, you're only making your children sneaky. That's the only thing that you're doing. You're only making your children sneaky, and they're going to be who you want them to be. Baby, you don't know your baby. You don't know him. So, but with that being said, y'all, I'm out of here. It's so much more to chronic emotional neglect. Please do your research. Please do your research, right? Once again, I want to thank y'all from the bottom of my heart. I thank y'all for just accepting this, right? Just putting it in your presence. And I promise this is a form to start your healing. I promise you, this is a form to start. You know, if nobody else said, I'm telling you, this is a form to recognize some patterns, for you to sit down with self, for you to be vulnerable with yourself. You know, this is a start, y'all. So I encourage y'all to get the book. Get the book. And I'm working on a lot more things coming up. I self-published this book. I did everything on my own. So I understand I might have missed the period, quotation, whatever the case may be. But baby, get that healing, right? Get that healing. And I promise you, you're going to start your journey to live outside of trauma. I promise you. So I'm not telling you nothing that I've never done myself. I promise you, you're going to start gaining your peace. You're going to start gaining your joy. And most importantly, you're going to start gaining rest, because your body is going to start coming out of survival mode. So with that being said, y'all, y'all gonna see me keep promoting the book. I'm gonna keep pushing. Because that is my calling and that is my purpose. So until next week, y'all be blessed. Oh, do your research. That's all I ask you. Do your research and journal your feelings, and do the journal prompt that I said. If y'all got to rewind the video, go back and watch it. Do that journal prompt. I promise you, y'all. So we healing one truth at a time, and understand that this is not a moment. It's a movement. Y'all have a great night.